And everyone outside of the fandom, I feel like, has this preconception of what Star Trek is, and because it's been so historically, like, linked to being a nerd or being, like, a geek or something, like, 'cause I grew up openly telling people that I'm a fan, like, in my elementary school, was I called a geek? Was I made fun of? Of course, but I owned it. I came to a point where I think it was our grade 7 speech when, we had to write our own speeches. I talked about all my favorite sci-fi shows. I talked about Star Trek. I talked about Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel, like, all of those shows that really opened my mind, opened my imagination. And then I became known as the Trekkie at school, which I'm totally fine with. I owned it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. You know, and,
No.
I think I was, like, 10 or something when First Contact came out, and,
Mhm.
like, all of my other, classmates, you know how we used to put up pictures in our locker? So, like, my friends would have, like, the Backstreet Boys, which I loved as well, but they'd have, like, NSYNC. You know what I had? I had a
Picard.
yes! From First Contact. Um, I ripped out a page, I think it was from a magazine. It was like, an ad for First Contact where he's in his, like, sleeveless top and he's holding a gun. And I had that up in my locker, and everyone would walk by and laugh at me, and I was like, "I don't care. He's amazing. I'm keeping."
Oh, man. I'm gonna have to see if I can find that picture
I actually
so
was
I
gonna
can
look for it. I'll see if I can find it.
if not, I'll have to look as well because then I gotta insert that in so we can have that on
Yeah,
here.
or
Oh, that's too fun.
I'll watch the movie and see. I'm not sure if it was a
Screen capture.
publicity shot or if it was taken from the actual film itself, but I'll look for it and see.
Uh,
But yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
what I
funny.
had, like, age 10 or 11 up in my locker.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's so good. Man, you have a great story for what you got into how to got you into this. I mean, awesome. And so I'm just curious then, you know, what is your favorite series so far or even ever, honestly?
I think just because it was my first, I have to say TNG. Um, DS9 is up there though too. I have a special place in my heart for that show. It's just it's so well written. It's like the character development. I love that it's a whole story over the seasons and it's like a standalone per story per episode. Like it's all connected. Mm. I'm rewatching Enterprise right now. Enterprise is It's been a while since I watched. What I like to do with all of my favorite shows is leave them alone for a while and then come back to it with fresh eyes. I'm on my Enterprise rewatch right now, and it's just blowing me away, like, how good it was and how sad I am that it really didn't make it to those extra scenes.
Hey,
We all feel
hey,
it should have,
oh, we do. Oh man, I was talking with the guys, at the conventions and whatnot, and it's just they got robbed out of their fifth. The stuff they had planned for season 5 would have been phenomenal.
yeah. Even just thinking about the episodes and how T'Pol always had, like, some kind of knowledge about who they're gonna meet, or, like, she can give some kind of special insight that we wouldn't typically had. Even there's that episode where she's the only one not affected, um,
Mhm.
polarity or something, where
Yeah.
everyone's going, like, getting obsessive about things, but she's the only one not affected. She essentially saves the crew in that event.
Yes.
Like, it's special, like, that's why I love her character too, because it's so special having her character that's so different from them, and it's early on in Star Trek universe that are taking their first steps, and they do have an alien on their bridge and part of their and they're trying to figure out how to navigate this and how to understand each other, and, like, it's that conflict there is, like, so rich, so rich. Mm.
And it also helped they had an alien doctor,
Yeah.
Phlox,
Yes.
so he knew other species and other medicine, so no, um, no, I agree. It was a shame how they held back on sharing technology, but it was probably the right thing for them to do. And I always loved that's another thing I liked about Enterprise. They would always leave little nuggets of information about, foreshadowing for
Yeah.
later on when he goes, "Until," and Archer says, "Until someone gives me some sort of a directive,
Yeah.
I
That's
have to do
it.
it myself." It was just so great.
Yeah.
I loved it. And they didn't have no, they didn't have replicators. Transporters were in their infancy still. They all acted like Dr. McCoy about they'd rather take a
Yeah.
shuttlecraft than flying that thing than use that thing. So yeah, I mean, it that's what I liked about it because it let us show us humanity's going out into space. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so do you have? So we know your show. Do you have a favorite? Is there of any of the series? I guess like any of your. What's your favorite episode?
Chris, how can you
Uh,
ask that question? That's so
Hey,
hard.
ever
I could go
well,
series by series. I
or just
don't know if I
just
have, like, a whole like, a favorite episode.
let's see here. Or
Um,
let's just say favorite episode within your favorite series.
okay, TNG, there's a lot. Well, oh, this is another thing we did as kids that I don't know if anyone else did. I just wanna mention this. We okay, so back in the early 90s, whenever it was, we had, like, a huge stereo system set up with the TV, and my sister figured out a way to record the episode audio onto cassette tape so that we could listen to it. I don't know if anyone else did this, but
Maybe not. I know I did it. I don't know if it was a Star Wars or Star Trek, but absolutely, I do
so
remember doing
yeah,
stuff like
so we had episode because back then, I mean, it's such a different world to think of, like, to try and explain it to a kid nowadays, like, we couldn't watch our favorite shows whenever we wanted to. We either had to have them recorded on VHS or we had to make the time to sit in front of the TV when it's airing and watch it. Um, and we
and God forbid you had to go to the bathroom in the middle of a serious, a serious moment.
Yeah,
There was
or if
no
our parents were
pause.
yelling at us to stop watching TV, turn the TV off, it's like, "No,
Yeah,
we can't stop now."
there's no pause, and it's gonna be in your
Yeah,
DVR.
exactly. So and we
Like,
can't just always it's not easy to just press record if you don't have the VCR or whatever. So we recorded episodes on cassette so that we could be in our room when we're supposed to be studying and we could listen to episodes. So there's episodes that I could probably quote to you verbatim. Like we listened to Clues is one of my favorite episodes actually. Clues, Imaginary Friend, just because with the kids in it, we my sister and I had so much fun. Like we listened to it so much that we could act it out and play, and it was so much fun. Unification, parts 1 and 2. I think we had that because I remember that dialogue very, um, like, in depth, like, I could probably quote it to you as well. But, Deja Q is so good. Like, it's such a good Q episode, and it's so funny. Like, it's so funny. John Delancey is just pure gold in that one. Brothers I'm gonna keep going. Well, Brothers shows the absolute genius of Brent Spiner. His
oh, he's a
like,
phenomenal actor.
that episode, seeing him like 3 roles, and it's just him, like, it's so good, and each unique character he plays so
Yeah.
perfectly, like, amazing.
Oh, yeah. No, it's he is one of those special ones, and it's kinda makes me think of, oh gosh, like Harry Kim, but Garrett Wang had to play his own character recently on Lower Decks multiple ways because he played multiple Harrys. So that takes a lot of talent to be able to do that and put, a different inflection, a different way you're going to say this or do this, or your tone between. Yeah, yeah. So no, Brant did a great job on that between being his father, himself, and his brother.
Yeah, because even with, like, Doctor Soong, he can get into that character because of all that makeup. But when it comes to lore and Data and how they look pretty much the same, but they're so different, and the inflection and, like, his mannerisms, and it's amazing. I episode. Another one, which I watched so many times. I could start it again as soon as I finish it. Uh, I gotta look up the name of it. It's a one of the episodes. where they go down onto the planet in the beginning. It's Counselor Troy, Data, O'Brien, and Riker. They all get knocked down and something enters their body, except Riker because he's injured, and they all come back to the ship. Um, and it's so good. It's so suspenseful. It's so and to see um, Marina Sirtis play a completely different kind of character because like she's already like she's a badass, but in this one she's like such a badass. Like she's playing the she's possessed by this ghost power play. Yes. Okay, that was on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, that's the one. It's that was another one of my favorites that back when I had it on VHS, I remember it ending and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta watch it again." So I'd rewind it all the way and watch it again because it was just so, so good.
Yeah, those were some good you've named off some really good episodes.
Yeah.
Wow. Alright, well, you went far beyond your which is awesome, and that's great. Um, so I was curious so, you know, I guess, when how do you feel Star Trek has influenced your view of the future?
Oh, I think from watching it, it gives, anyone I think any fan, when they think about the future, they think about Star Trek because they think about what what kinds of things are going on in the world now and what needs to change in order for us to even reach some kind of ideal future like Star Trek was. Because at the same time as, um, we have so much that we're dealing with now, and Star Trek does present this ideal future, but there's still conflict and there's still things that we need to overcome and there's still wars and there's still so many things, but at the same time, there's, past tense from DS9, watching that, and I think Bashir at the end of that episode, like, his ideas and his questions for Cisco about, like, how did it ever let it get so bad? And we're living it right now, like,
Yeah, exactly.
how are we letting
Well,
things fall apart and get so bad? And it's
I know.
seeing
Ugh,
how do we even move forward from that? So it's scary thinking about what do we do? But at the same time, it gives us hope because even though it's a fictional universe, it still provides us with, idea of what it could be and how instead of looking at each other because we're all the same race, if and right now we're people are looking at each other with hatred and just so much conflict. And then we're looking at in the future, there's different like alien species that are working together. Like look completely different. Um, they sound completely different. There's different languages and like, and yet they still can work together. So it's like it's possible. Like I know it's a fictional universe, but we can get there. We can. It's a nice thing to aspire to, and it's a nice thing to have hold in our hearts. In our
um, so who is your favorite character?
favorite character I've got to say is Worf, and he's always been my favorite character since I was a kid. Uh, and meeting all of these other characters as time has gone by, it's just it's always Worf. Kira comes a close second because she's amazing and the way she or the way her character evolves and progresses and the way she's strong female role model for me, like my whole life. I met her as a kid basically in DS9, but for something I think it was because Worf was just so he was the most different character. He was kind of the one who was, in a way isolated. Like, there were a lot of episodes in TNG where he is conflicted so much because he's Starfleet, but he's also a Klingon.
Yeah. Well, he was the outcast not sorry, outsider.
Outsider, correct, yeah.
Yes, he was an outsider. Not he wasn't an outcast, but he was the outsider in like, you're right. I mean, like, a perfect episode was Redemption Part 1 and 2. When he has to decide, is he gonna stay in Starfleet or go join, his brother and Gowron to defeat the Duras sisters,
Right.
and he
Sworn in.
chooses
Yeah,
and he
House of
chooses he chooses the Klingons, and rightfully so. And what was interesting, I'm glad we did this. What was interesting was rewatching that episode recently. I don't know if you've watched it in a while, but it was very interesting to see how uncomfortable he was around his own people.
Mhm. Yeah.
There was a scene when they're in the, I guess, like the bar, and I think he's with his brother Kerr, and he's like, "Why are we drinking with the enemy?" And he just didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And his brother's like, "Well, today there are, the friends or whatever, but tomorrow we may all
There
kill them."
yeah. And
And
that's hard from a Starfleet perspective to even understand something like that.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why I think he was conflicted, because he was trying to go, well, raised by human parents in Starfleet. So he has these human and Starfleet morals, which usually are opposite of anything Klingon, all things Klingon. you know, so I don't know, but yeah, I never thought about it like that, but you're right. He is actually, I mean, he's a good character no matter what. And I always laugh. We always joke when we're doing reviews every now and then. He'll be like, "Well, I think we should do raise the shields or do this or that," and not now, Mr. Worf.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much aggression that he suggests, and then it's always like, "No, no, just wait."
It
Well,
is. He
I
always
wanted
starts
to
with
share
shooting.
I wanted to share something else that this was something that was from TV Guide.
Uh-huh.
We had to, like, back in the day, back then, fill out, like, a form in the TV Guide, mail it in with a check, and then they send this to you. Apparently, it's very hard to find now, but we kept this. Um, and it has, bios on all of the cast, um, and it's hilarious because this is Michael Dorn's, page, and so, okay, this is hilarious because he's basically, as a kid, another, uh, funny thing with how I grew up, like, all my, classmates, again, like, my friends were into famous people of the day, whereas one of my first celebrity crushes was Michael Dorn. My very first celebrity crush was David Hedison from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Close second was Guy Williams, who was in Lost in Space, but also the original Disney Zorro. And then, yeah, of course, Michael Dorn. But I want to read something from here because he says so. This is how his little interview in here ends. It says, "This show is going to be part of our lives for the rest of our lives. It's kind of scary, isn't it? But I promise I am not going to be playing Worf when I am 60. And if I do, please shoot me, but only in the leg."
Oh my god.
Isn't that hilarious?
Oh,
Like, I don't know if you remembered this or
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to, oh my god, I've gotta find somebody, somehow, that can get that to him. And they've already had
Amazing.
on chamber. If they hadn't, I would so let them know
Yeah,
to ask,
and bring this up to him because it's so funny,
because literally he was 70 doing Picard.
right?
60s,
Yeah.
70s doing Picard. Oh, that is so funny. Oh my god. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, and you said something about family, um, in the Star Trek family as the actors as well. That is one thing I liked about, the Ready Room, especially with all the new shows, Stranger World, Prodigy, and, Lower Decks, when he would have the actual, actors or voice actors on the show, the ones that were new, he would ask them, and also tell them, "You're in the family now. You're
Yeah.
part of this family.
Mm.
Get ready."
Yeah.
You
Get ready
know?
for us, fans.
Yeah, get ready, and he says, "But we're all here." He says, "You are family." He says he's made it
Mhm.
Will, not Will, Will Riker, AKA, Jonathan Frakes. They are all, that's a family member to him. Picard, Patrick Stewart, they're all a family in some way.
Mhm.
They may not talk to each other every day, but they
Yeah.
are a family. as is all of the other series. They stick together and they will defend each other as much as they can, even if
Exactly.
Worf becomes a pacifist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so good. So good.
I do have at least one more question. That is, what piece of Star Trek technology would you like to have today if we could have it?
Transporter. I gotta say it, transporter.
Finally,
Transport
somebody agrees with me.
that wasn't isn't that a very popular answer?
So that's been my answer, but
Mm,
so far the answers have ranged from transporter, replicators,
computers are good.
and warp drive. But yeah, no, I would love to have a transporter. When I have to drive to some places, I live in a big state, and you just don't get from point A to point B sometimes really quick. To try and get out of the state, like if I drove to New Mexico one time, that was like 12 hours just in Texas. And then, like, 3 hours to get once I got out of the state, the rest of it was just a quick little hop
Yeah.
and jump of
Yeah.
oh my god. So, yeah, transfers would be mine, um, and of course, warp drive, so we could get out there and see what the heck's going on out there, just as long as we don't stir up any trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That's when we
That's
need
the
to
main
glance over our shoulder.
exactly. Yeah, so we definitely need we we gotta be careful, or we're gonna end up like Independence Day
Oh,
movie.
man, yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
went
know
to the funny thing about Independence Day is we found out Brent Spiner was gonna have a small part in it.
Uh-huh.
So my sister, brother, and I all went to watch it in theater, and we applauded when he was on screen. He was that mad scientist guy.
Oh, I know. Oh my
And
god.
he's in, like, quite a small part of the movie.
Oh,
We
yes.
and we were like, "Yay."
Oh, yeah. Well, and that makes me think of and I just saw this. I don't remem I didn't know this, or I forgot. Do you watch The Big Bang Theory, or have you
Yes.
watched The Big Bang
Oh,
Theory?
yeah. Obsessed.
So, the scene, and you may know this, but the scene when Will Wheaton comes in to the theater in his Mr. Spock
Oh,
outfit.
to see Star Wars? When they were watching
Yeah,
Star
when they were going to see Star Wars, he comes in dressed as Spock. That was not scripted that way.
No way! He just
Nope.
showed up like that?
He did it on his own. Yep, he did that on his own,
Yeah,
and it
he walks
was
in doing this, right? And everyone's
yes,
seeing him?
he does. Yes, he did,
Oh,
and
that's
that
so
was like
funny.
you said, I saw that, I read somewhere, he's like, "No, he that was not part of the that was not in the script, he just did it, and it's now forever."
I love
It's
that it wasn't scripted.
oh, yeah.
I love it.
There's a lot of stuff on The Big Bang Theory that was not scripted that they left in, which what made it so good. And that honestly, oh, we're getting out of time here, but honestly, that series, I really think made being a nerd and a geek and all of these fandoms and all this stuff popular
Yeah,
and acceptable.
yeah, I
It
agree.
really did.
Yeah,
I mean, it did. And so and we can almost thank them for that because they made it the norm instead of being outside of the norm. And so it's cool. Um
agreed.
all right. Well, I thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Thank you for watching The Transporter Room. For just $5 per month, enjoy ad-free access to this episode and all previous ones, plus exclusive bonus content. Sign up now on Patreon.